Hey guys, so I am out today. You will be doing a teacher made in our Google Classroom after this video. Okay, so I just want to go over all the key features real fast. Okay, so first, what is the axis of symmetry? Okay, so the axis of symmetry is x is, so it has to be a x equals equation. Okay, so it's x equals, how do you find this? Okay, it is the number, okay, it's the x value in the vertex. Okay, so what does it look like? Okay, you guys should know by now what it looks like. Okay, so if we have a graph, okay, go like this. Okay, here's our vertex. It will go straight down through the x-axis. It is a dashed line. Okay, so let's pretend that this was 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. Okay, so again, it is symmetric, so it cuts the graph in half. Okay, it's the halfway point. So if this was at 1 and this was at 5, halfway between those would be 2 here, 2 this way, so at 3. So in this case, this would be x equals 3. Okay, so again, it is the x value in the vertex. It is a dashed line that goes straight up and down. Okay, it cuts the graph in half. So no matter where your point is, like if you're at this point and this point, they have to be evenly spaced to this point. Okay, that is the axis of symmetry. So if you can figure out that it's x equals first, okay, that will knock away half the questions. What is the vertex? Okay, the vertex is either the maximum, remember the guys on the top of the roller coaster, or it's the minimum. Okay, this is when you use the second trace 3 or 4 in your calculator from the graph. Okay, so you do second trace max or min, and then you go to the left, press enter one time, go to the right, hit enter one time, hit enter one more time, and it will tell you the vertex. Make sure you write the vertex as a point. Okay, it is not just one number, it is a point. It's an x and a y. Okay, so what is it? It's the max, the min, it's where it changes directions. Okay, you can also find it on a table. So remember, you'll have a whole bunch of numbers. Okay, I'm gonna do one more. Okay, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So remember that these two will match, these two will match, and this will be the one that's non-matching. So it is the non-matching ordered pair. Okay, it is the non-matching. So the two numbers above it should match. Okay, the two numbers below it should match, and it's the one right in the middle, the sandwich. Okay, all right. A y-intercept. What is a y-intercept? It is where it crosses on the y-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wherever it crosses on here, okay, that goes in the y spot right here. X has to be 0. Okay. If you were in EAS, I taught you that you can find this from the C. It is actually your C value. Okay. Whatever number stands by itself at the end, that is your y-intercept. You can also find this from the table, okay? So regular class, we did it from the table. So when x is 0, what is y? And that's your answer. Okay? Your x-intercepts, okay? You can have no x-intercepts. You can have one x-intercept. Or you can have two x-intercepts, okay? See how many times it crosses the x-axis and move the spider to that location, okay? So if I said how many x-intercepts are on this one, you would say none. This one has 1, okay? Let's just imagine it's at 2, 0. Let's do this one. Let's imagine this one's at -1, 0 and 1, 0, okay? You can also find x-intercepts on a table, okay? If you see it crosses 1, 2, or no times, if you see 1 or 2, just find the 2 times where y is 0 and what is x. If it crosses 1 time, look for when y is 0. 1 time. If it crosses 2 times, look for when y is 0 2 times on your table. If not, like I said, just move your spider. Just make sure that on your graph, that y has to equal 0, okay? All right, root 0 solutions, okay? This goes with the x-intercept, okay? So again, you can have no zeros, which means it doesn't cross the x-axis. You can have 1, okay, where it crosses 1 time 1 0, or you can have 2 zeros, which means it crosses the graph 2 times. Okay, unlike x-intercepts, where you write it as an ordered pair, like a number, comma 0, on root 0 solutions, you just say the numbers. So if your x-intercepts are at -3 and 10, you would say x equals -3 and 10. You do not write them as ordered pair. You just say where do they cross on the x-axis. So root zeros in solutions just mean where do they cross on the x-axis, and zeros means how many times. Okay. Domain, okay, so there's lots. So if you're given an equation, your domain is all real numbers, okay? If you were given a word problem, okay, it is 0 time to the x-intercept number, okay? So where it crosses on the x-axis. We did this on our projects, remember? So we said it starts at 0 time, and then it went up, and then it went down, and it lands on the ground. This is the number where it lands on the ground. Okay, from a graph. Okay. If it has an arrow on the left and an arrow on the right, it is all real numbers, okay? If it has a dot and an arrow pointing to the left, you see where does it cross on the x-axis, and you say x is less than, so left is less than whatever this point is right here. Let's call that -1. If it has a dot and it's pointing to the right, okay, again, let's say this is -1, okay, pointing to the right is a greater than -1, okay? So you just see where does it cross on the x-axis. You write that number here. If it's pointing to the left, it is less than. If it's pointing to the right, it's greater than. If both sides are an arrow, it is all real numbers. Okay. Last thing I'm going to cover before you guys start on the IP, okay, is your range, okay? So range from a graph. If it is pointing up, that is, here actually, I'm going to do it so it's not exactly on the 0. Okay. If it is pointing up, you are going to say y is greater than. And then wherever it crosses or it lines up to on the y-axis. So let's say that's +1. Okay. Let's say the range is pointing down. Okay. 2, 3. You would say, oh, it lines up with y -3, or sorry, +3, but it's pointing down, so that is a less than 3. So if it's pointing down, it is less than. If it's pointing up, it is greater than. You can also tell this by if you type the equation into y equals, okay? Okay. You find your vertex, okay? So here's my vertex. Okay. Look to see, are the other numbers above it and below it, are they greater than or less than this y number right here? Okay, so again, y is either greater than or less than the y value in the vertex. Okay, and that's how you write your answers. Okay, from a word problem for range, remember that you write 0 for the lowest height, y, and then the maximum point goes here for the y value.